so long, and the strong ones, they said, let's go. So they moved over the river. They went over the river in boats. They went round in the old punt with their beds and anything they needed over there.
The strikers left New South Wales and crossed the river into Victoria, where the Aboriginal laws were more progressive. But the Victorian government refused to give them support. They said it was a New South Wales problem.
When we moved off the mission, we had a very big struggle. We lived in a tent and with a little girl with heart trouble. We were determined to live our lives in freedom for ourselves and our children.
The strikers were without food or funds. All over the country, Aboriginal organisations began to raise money. In Melbourne, the Aborigines League started a campaign to get support for the Cummeragunja people.
I was pretty young then too, but we had meetings on the Yarra Bank and spoke about the plight of our people where they went on strike for better conditions and not the small handouts that the government gave us, you see. And I had an Aboriginal concert party going then, and I played the ukulele and sang, and we held concert parties all over the place to get funds. The Aboriginal League, with our white supporters, went around shaking the collection tin. The trade union, especially the waterside workers, gave like anything. We got hold of someone's car and loaded it up with food, milk for the little babies up there, and drove up to the strikers' camp.
They had money given to them, and the men would have a meeting and decide, also the women, and decide what they needed most. And then they, all the ones that were working over in Shepparton on the fruit would come over and bring cases of fruit over, pears, peaches, and whatever they could to help. And they really had people backing them as they'd never had before. The strike lasted for several weeks, and I think it gave them courage to get away from the place, which was degrading us.
The Aborigines League pushed for an investigation into the cause of the strike. But at the start of World War II, there were stories in the press that Nazi agents were behind the strike, and public support fell away.
Australia is free. Perhaps in the past, too free. Nowhere could this be better illustrated than in Sydney's great domain. It is here that free speech has been allowed to all. We had a visit from one who started this craze on a pleasure cruise, he said, forgetting to mention that it was a pleasure cruise organized by the government of Germany. Even away in the little-known interior, amongst the primitive natives, there are townships where agents of Hitler wait and plan for the downfall of a country that has sheltered them and given them security.
Jackie Patton, like other Aboriginal organisers, came under pressure to stop campaigning.
He said that he believed that they were going to have him up for sort of treason, and which was ridiculous. And he enlisted and went overseas. And I had a lot of letters from him from over there. But, he was very homesick.
Call out the guard. Most unusual guard this in all the Empire's armies. At Wangaratta Camp, Victoria, we meet the only all-Aboriginal squad in the AIF, Original Aboriginal Anzacs. They're not in the army as a curiosity. They are volunteers in the service of the country they love. With fixed bayonets instead of the spears their forefathers carried, with bullets instead of boomerangs, the dark-hued diggers go into action. Now out of uniform into civvies for a change, like good soldiers ready to do or die. 6 little digger boys out on the spree. Half were torpedoed, and then there were 3.
Many Aborigines joined the armed forces and went overseas to fight and sacrifice their lives for their country. At home, the Aboriginal organisation slowed down, but their agitation had some effect. In 1941, the Protection Board was abolished. After the war, Aboriginal soldiers returned home to a country where they were not even citizens. Aboriginal organisations quickly emerged. A new generation of Aborigines began the long campaign to win back public support and to continue their struggle.
I feel very, very proud of those old people. They were fighters and they struggled in every way.
They were fighting for better conditions and better understanding, which we're still doing.
Well, I think there's been a big impact because if the APA hadn't been started in the way it was started, that we wouldn't have the organisations that we have today. It may have been a long time in coming, but the organisations have been set up that have been a great help in our fight. But it doesn't end there. We've still got to go on fighting. We still have to battle because there's a long way to go yet. We have yet to get land rights. We've got to fight towards that goal.
The early fighters began the foundation of today's Aboriginal organisations. Today, the struggle still goes on and will continue to go on until justice prevails. Because we were the first Australians, and this is our land.